Let's head now to Papamoa, where frogs have invaded the peaceful Bay of Plenty settlement for the second year in a row. Nikki Mando went to find out more.
When Carolyn Chatterton comes home from work these days, she opens her front door with care. But she's not worried about intruders, at least not the human kind. It's frogs, tiny green and golden bell frogs to be precise, that have Mrs. Chatterton in a bit of a tiz. Having frogs in your pad may not seem a terrifying experience, but insert mice, rats, spiders, or whatever your personal worst scuttling fear is, and you can understand what she's feeling. Especially when the frogs get into her bedroom and ensuite at night.
One woke my husband up and he said it was on the ceiling and it actually fell onto the floor. And they make this horrendous squealing noise when they're either confronted or they're scared of something. That's what they're doing inside the house. They're just squealing the whole time. So they're obviously frightened of being inside and not being able to get out.
Mrs. Chatterton says the frogs are small enough to squeeze under doors, but when they stretch out to jump, they're as big as your hand. And they aren't easy to evict.
My husband gets a broom and he just tries to sort of corner them and then pushes them towards the door and then pokes them out the door. They are quite hard to spot though, and I mean, when they're scared, they can make themselves very flat and get into like tiny spaces.
Professor Phil Bishop from the University of Otago is a world expert on frogs and on amphibian survival and conservation. He's excited by the plague, which also hit Papamoa last year. Bell frogs love hot, wet conditions, and Professor Bishop says they'll be breeding happily in pools and ponds around Papamoa. One female frog can lay 3,500 eggs, and once the tadpoles turn into frogs, they have to get away from water to avoid being eaten by herons and other predators. The young frogs turn up in people's houses looking for insects, which in turn are attracted by lights at night. But once indoors, the frogs get scared and scream.
They're probably getting stressed because inside a house is not a very good place for a frog to be because it's very dry. So even the act of going across a dry carpet could be enough of an irritant on their skin. They get stressed and so they'll scream because they think they're being attacked by a very big, furry, dry predator.
Professor Bishop can't think of anything nicer than sharing his bedroom with a few frogs. But for those like Mrs. Chatterton and other Papamoa residents who aren't so keen, he's got some advice.
If she doesn't want the frog, she should probably not use outside lights. She should make sure that her windows and doors are shut and put a draft excluder under the door. And it'll only be for a week or two, and then they will have dispersed and moved on to other places where they prefer to live.
He says the people of Papamoa should be proud of their frogs.
Frogs are very sensitive to things like pesticides and herbicides. Any chemicals that can get into the water will just go straight into the frogs. So the very fact that in Papamoa they're getting really good populations, it means that they are very environmentally friendly practices that the people are using there.
Some comfort perhaps for the people next time they see a green and golden bell frog hopping across their bedroom floor at night. For Checkpoint, Nikki Mando.